Greetings, mere mortals, and welcome back to Monster Month and Cobra-La. This is why ghosts turn evil, people. Don't be surprised if I go all the ring on your asses. You've got 7 days to share this video, or you die! Okay, not really. I don't have that kind of power. Maybe you'll get mild indigestion or something.
Today, we're talking about Cobra-La's leader, the big bad of the movie. Meet Golobulus. This figure was released in 1987 with all original body parts.
What?
Yes, fine. I'm only showing you the upper half of the figure.
That's because his lower half looks like this. Am I even allowed to show you this? I feel like we should blur it or something.
Yes, there's no way to avoid this. We have to talk about this thing straight from the get-go, because it's all anybody remembers of this toy.
Dear Cthulhu, help us all.
The most eagle-eyed of my viewers may have noticed that instead of legs, he's got a giant green tail. This makes him the tallest G.I.Joe figure in the history of the real American hero line. Well, if he could stand up, which he can't. At all. Sure, the tail has a metal wire in it, so in theory it's posable, but in practice, he can only slither on the ground. Look here, the ultimate leader of Cobra-La.
Bra frickin' foe. Give him a big hand, everybody.
This is the stupidest figure ever in the G.I. Joe line. Hell, it might even be the most stupid action figure ever created.
Oh, there have been idiotic gimmicks in the past.
Like a Masters of the Universe figure whose whole deal is that he literally stinks, robots that transform into freaking rocks, and wrestling figures with real sweating action, but Golobulus here takes the freaking cake. Oh, and I checked online for articles listing the worst action figures of all time, and Globby here doesn't appear on any of them.
Which just proves to me that those people that wrote those lists didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
I think it's fair to say that as a toy company, you've really screwed up when your main bad guy looks like something Poison Ivy would have hidden in her bedside cabinet. Now, some people may argue Golobulus needs to be like this so he's accurate to his movie appearance.
Except the tail isn't. At all.
For one thing, he spends most of the movie with his tail hidden in, well, whatever the hell that thing is. It vaguely looks like a giant zombified Kermit the Frog head. And when he does come out, it looks like the body of a snake. Not like this thing.
And Hasbro was going to make it look more like that.
The artwork on the card shows this, as well as a prototype shown in their own product catalog. I mean, it still looks stupid, but at least it doesn't look like it's illegal to sell in Alabama.
And do you want to know the saddest thing?
From the waist up, he is a good representation of the movie version. He's leagues better than Nemesis Enforcer anyway, whose toy, as we've discussed, looks like it was designed by Ned Flanders compared to the movie version.
So, let's talk about the top half.
His body armor looks like it's from a lobster or a crab. There's a reason for this, a stupid reason that we'll get into later. He's got one green mutated arm, as you do, and a yellow eyepiece.
If I'm being honest, it's not a bad monster design at all.
If he had regular legs, he'd be halfway decent. But we need to look at this figure overall, tail included. And I can say without a doubt, this is the worst G.I. Joe figure we've ever seen on the show. Oh, and for completeness sake, he came with a weird-looking gun that nobody cares about.
With that, let's talk about the character, starting with the file card.
And let's start with the name, Golobulus.
It doesn't sound very intimidating now, does it? Sounds more like an internal organ a Klingon would have.
That alien kicked Worf right in the Golobulus.
As for the character,
Well, most of the file card is about Cobra-La, not Globby himself. It explains Cobra-La is based on organic technology, and the buildings, weapons, and even the clothes they wear are all alive.
The 80s were weird, weren't they?
Globby's own body armor are mutated lobsters and crabs. Also, he's effectively immortal thanks to symbiosis. The lobster bit and the immortal bit are in two separate paragraphs.
But I think they're connected.
You see, there's a myth that certain types of lobster are biologically immortal, but this has been debunked. It's true they don't die of old age in the traditional sense, but from exhaustion when they try to moth or change their shell one too many times. It's possible they used this myth when creating Golobulus.
Anyway, it's amazing just how little the file card actually tells you about the character of Golobulus.
I mean, most of it is about Cobra-La or his clothes. And all other information is practical. He's immortal. He's descended from ancient serpent kings, and most of his body parts have been replaced several times, except his brain and central nervous system. But there's nothing here to tell you what makes him tick or what kind of a guy he is. Since Cobra-La never appeared in the comics, we have no choice but to go back to G.I. Joe the frickin' movie again.
Fine, let's dive back into this dirt pile.
Well, the guy is at least gracious enough to introduce himself, as well as provide a retcon.
Know that I am Golobulus, supreme ruler of this kingdom of Cobra-La. It was I who created you, Serpentor.
And this is like 90% of what he does in the movie. Spout exposition.
He narrates the history of Cobra-La, explains his evil plan, and twirls his proverbial mustache.
And the spores will degenerate all organisms they touch, mutating them into primitive, incompetent life forms.
He doesn't even get out of his zombie hot tub until the final battle. He briefly fights Falcon and gets a stick in the eye for his trouble. Note that they don't actually show that gruesome scene, but you do get to see the aftermath. He is presumed dead after Cobra-La explodes, and that's all there is to his movie version.
Oh, and he's voiced by the Penguin.
No, not that one. He was played by Burgess Meredith, who was the Penguin in the 60s Batman series, though only mentioning him for that is doing the man a giant disservice.
As he was one of the most accomplished actors of the last century.
He appeared in over 100 movies, but his most famous ones were probably playing trainer Mickey in the Rocky movies. Funnily enough, this wasn't his first G.I. Joe movie, as he starred in the story of G.I. Joe from 1945, the movie that inspired at least the name of the original G.I. Joe figure. And that was Golobulus.
And what is there more to say, really?
The movie character didn't really do much, and his toy is the worst in the history of G.I. Joe.
And if you're one of the few people who actually like this guy, that's perfectly fine. Hey, my word isn't law. Yet. Different strokes and all that.
Well, we're finally finished with Monster Month.
Thank Cthulhu this is over.
Hey, buddy, you're not done.
What?
But I reviewed all 3 characters from the original toy line.
Yes, but there's one character left.
But she didn't even get a toy!
Oh, that's not gonna be a problem.
Crap! Hey, I'm supposed to do the evil laugh. You have no idea how much I'm sweating. It's the warmest October in recorded history, you know.
Where's the script? No, seriously, what did I do with the script?